out of the way, Tate Discipuli. Today, guys, we're going to talk about the imperfect tense, which is the next tense that's in our book. This is completely for enrichment purposes, so if this is a little confusing or doesn't make sense to you, don't worry about it. This is just to introduce you to a topic. We will be covering this in much greater detail next year, but just gives you a little something to do on the last week of school if you want to. So, if we remember from our sound off facts, number 7, tense is time. It tells us when the action occurred. And they're basically 3 divisions of time. We have what's happening currently, that is the present. We have what's happening in the future, hasn't happened yet, that's called the future. And we have the items that have happened already, we refer to that as the past. So those are the 3 divisions of time. But we have more than just 3 tenses. In fact, the English language has 14 different tenses. The Latin language, in comparison, has 6. So we can draw a couple of reasonable inferences from this information. First of all, if we have more English translations than Latin translations, then it is safe for us to assume that we can translate a Latin tense in more than one way. And since 6 does not go into 14 evenly, we can also assume that not all the tenses have the same number of possible translations. So, what does that mean for us and what we're studying right now? Well, currently, we have learned the present tense in Latin. And the present tense tells what's happening right now. And there's 3 different ways I can translate that into English. So, for example, the Latin present tense, amo, first person singular present tense, can be translated as I love, I am loving, or I do love. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about something that's referred to as the imperfect tense. The imperfect tense is a type of tense that indicates action that has occurred in the past. So the imperfect tense is used to describe action that has occurred in the past, and that action was either interrupted or is still going on. In other words, it's not finished. It's imperfect. An example of that in English would be, we were having a picnic when the storm started. If you'll notice, I've got were having in bold here. That's imperfect because we didn't get to finish the picnic. The storm interrupted it, but it was happening in the past. Now, conjugating the verb in the imperfect tense. You're going to see some very similar similarities between the present tense and the imperfect tense, but there's a few differences as well. So if we look at our verb to love, amo, amare, amawi, amatum, we'll see that our chart is set up just the way it always has been, first person, second person, third person, singular and plural. But one of the big differences is we are not going to use this first form. That first form, amo, is literally first person singular present tense. It is used in the present tense only. We will not use this form at all. So that means drop and stop does not apply to the imperfect tense. Drop and stop is present tense only. We do, however, find our base the same way. We go to the second principal part, the infinitive, and we chop off the RE, and the stumpy part that's left over, AMA, is our base. We then fill out the chart, and we fill out the entire chart with our base. So that's going to be ama, 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 and my personal favorite, ama. Now, you may be noticing, whoa, Mr. Cobb, Mr. Cobb, Mr. Cobb. I thought the macron pattern here was long, long, short. It is for present tense only. In the imperfect tense, the stem vowel is macroned every single time. And we know that this is a first conjugation verb because the infinitive ends in A. And notice how on our stem, every single one of our stems ends in A. This lets us know that this is a first conjugation verb. So we put out our base, and then our last step is we're going to add our endings. So our endings are bum, bas, bat, bamus, batis, bant. Now, a couple of things I want to point out about these endings. First of all, you may notice a very similar pattern. This st, must, tis, unt is very similar to what we're used to seeing. We changed the O to an M here because ba-o doesn't make any sense at all. The other thing I want you to notice is that every single one of these begins with a BA. And one way I can remember my imperfect tense endings is that the imperfect tense goes back to the past. The BA reminds us that it goes back to the past. Now, some of you may be thinking, okay, Mr. Cobb, that's great. Is there a song to help us remember the endings? Of course there is. And so the song goes like this. Bum bus baat, bamus batis band, bum bus baat, bamus batis band. And so we translate that as I'm a bomb, I'm a boss, I'm a bot, I'm a bamus, I'm a batis, I'm a bot. Why don't you try saying that after me? I'm a bomb, I'm a boss, I'm a bot, I'm a bamus, I'm a batis, I'm a bot. So that's how we conjugate the imperfect tense with a first conjugation verb. Now, with a second conjugation verb, and remember, second conjugation has this EO on the first form and this long ERE on the second form. The process is still very similar. Just like with first conjugation, we do not use that first form, so drop and stop does not apply here. And we find our base the same way. We go to the second principal part, the infinitive, we chop off the RE, and what's left is our base. But notice here, the difference is our base ends in E, letting us know that this is a second conjugation verb as opposed to an A, which lets us know it is first conjugation. We fill out the chart with our base, so that's going to be we day, we day, we day, we day, we day, and you guessed it, my personal favorite, we day. And then we add our endings. Bum bus baat, bamus batis band, bum bus baat, bamus batis band. And so I will say it, you say it after me. We day bomb, we day boss, we day bot, we day bamus, we day batis, we day bot. So that's how we conjugate in the imperfect tense. Now I know some of you are thinking, Mr. Cobb, okay, great. How do we translate? Well, I'm going to show you how. So when we're translating the imperfect tense, we're going to translate it as was, were verbing, used to verb, or kept on verbing, where we swap out verb for whatever verb we happen to be using. Now, it's going to be very tempting for you as you're translating this to say, oh, this is happening in the past, so I'm going to say verbed or did verb. Do not do that. That is not the imperfect tense. This is something that is called the perfect tense, and you will learn how to do that in the 6th grade. So, if I'm looking at the verb to love, I'm not going to say I loved or I did love. It's was, were verbing, and we swap out for love. So that will be I was loving, you were loving, he, she, or it was loving, we were loving, y'all were loving, they were loving. I'm a bomb can be translated as I was loving, I used to love, or I kept on loving. And we'll take a look at the verb to see. And we'll do it a little bit different to show you what some of the other ones look like. So, with a bomb, I used to see, you used to see, he, she, or it used to see. And then here I did the other one. We kept on seeing, y'all kept on seeing, they kept on seeing. It doesn't matter which one of these 3 translations you use for the imperfect tense. The was, were verbing is the most common. So that's how we conjugate and translate in the imperfect tense. If you want to practice, head over to Magistrala and give it a whirl and see how well you can do. Thanks so much, guys, and I hope to talk to you soon. Walete discipuli.